Hey everyone, it's Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video, Sunday morning reflection video. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. I really enjoy them. I enjoy them even more when there's a fun and entertaining game to talk about, and that was the case at the Hawthorns on Saturday. It was West Brom 2, Norwich City 2, a game which I thoroughly enjoyed. And look, I don't get to as many away games as I used to, and whenever I go to an away game, it reminds me just how much I love watching my football team away from home. The Hawthorns was actually the first ever away day I did with Norwich City. It was 2012, January 2012. It was an FA Cup fixture. Simeon Jackson and Grant Holt scored. We won the game 2-1. And I'd been going to home games since, well, my first game was 2005. I've had a season ticket since 2009, but 2012 was my first away day. And there was something different. There was a feeling about it. You were following your club in a different part of the country. It was, you wore your colours, and there was a pride. There was a proud element to, being part of in your clan and going elsewhere and putting it up to other teams, and that was hugely enjoyable, and I got a huge buzz from that back then, and I probably get an even bigger buzz from it now. And look, there is something building here at Norwich City, and it's I still can't quite put my finger on what it is. It's a feeling. It's and look, that's translating onto the pitch. I think what we've seen in the first few months of Johannes Hawthorns, there has been huge ups. There have been, I wouldn't say huge downs, but there have been really difficult periods. And it feels as if we're just about coming out of the back of that difficult period now. We had Angus Gunn back yesterday. We had Onel Hernandez back. Ashley Barnes should be back soon. This time next week, we should have just played Luton, and we should have seen the return of Kenny McLean and Marcelino Nunes, and suddenly, barring Josh Sargent, you have got the core of your side back. I mean, you've only got to look at Manchester City, who have kind of lost Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne, and have now lost 5 straight games. When you lose the absolute core, the quality, the engine room of your team, it's going to be incredibly difficult, and Norwich have found it incredibly difficult. And going to the Hawthorns was never going to be easy. I mean, there's been 3 goals there all season. They are incredibly tight defensively, and they don't score too many goals. So obviously there were going to be 4 first-half goals. But this was a really gritty and dogged performance from Norwich City. But there were hints of quality. There were movements. There were kind of templates of this Johannes Hawthorns style. And there was an incredible atmosphere in the away end. We went 1-0 down. It was a fairly sloppy kind of set-piece routine from West Brom. And at that point, you are thinking, we are in a really tough run at this stage. We were struggling away from home. We hadn't won in a while. And we hadn't picked up a point in a while. And we were just going to have to dig in at that point. And actually, the quality that shone through for that second goal, it was a lovely ball out wide to Jack Stacey, who, look, you can question him all you like for his defending, but in terms of energy, getting up and down the pitch, he's one of the best in this division. Brilliant run forwards, delightful cross in, lovely run from Emi Marcondes across his defender into the front post, slides in, lovely finish. Great to see Emi Marcondes on the score sheet. I was impressed with him yesterday. I've been impressed with him since he joined, considering he was without a club at the start of this season. It's a shrewd bit of business from Ben Napper and Johannes Hawthorns to bring him in, and actually a very diverse player in terms of where you can kind of utilise him. He's played basically as a number 9, he's played as a midfielder, he's played out wide, and in all of those positions he's contributed something. I thought it was actually probably one of his best performances in yellow and green against West Brom, and then we take the lead. It was a beautifully worked bit of play once again through Borja Sainz, who probably didn't have his finest game in terms of end product against West Brom, but it's interesting. I was reading through all of the comments from West Brom fans, and they were like, yeah, everything went through Borja Sainz, and the good stuff did go through Borja. He has quality that's probably too good for this division, and bamboozled the defenders. It was an own goal in the end, but it was all through Borja Sainz, and I think it was Emi Marcondes, and it was a deserved second goal. Unfortunately, couldn't hold out. 2 minutes later, Josh Maja, who's been their star player this season, pops up. Nice little finish actually on the volley. It was a wonderful bit of play from Tom Fellows down the right hand side, who I thought had a really, really good game, and was surprised to see him substituted off in the second half. Kellen Fisher was playing in a slightly unusual position in left back because of the injury to Jose Cordoba. So Doyle's had to come into the middle, and Kellen Fisher's gone out to left back. I think he's stronger out on the right, but I was still incredibly impressed with Kellen Fisher. But there was kind of a 15-minute period where Fellows had the beating of him, delivers a nice cross. Again, it's probably a goal that Norwich will be disappointed to concede. Madger gets a pretty clear run and in front of Jack Stacey, and it's a good finish 2-2. West Brom did score a third just before half-time. Now, I've not seen it back on the highlights. It looked to me like an incredibly harsh decision. It was given as a handball. That would have been desperately unlucky for Norwich if they'd have gone in to the break 3-2 down. They certainly didn't deserve that. But I suspect if I were a West Brom fan, I'd be disappointed with that refereeing decision. But West Brom fans, and I know it'll be hard to hear in this present moment, but I am sure come the end of the season you'll be grateful to have that goal disallowed and not have VAR and have a few little, difficult decisions through the way, and I'm sure a few will go your way as well. Norwich have been on the right end of some decisions and on the wrong end of some decisions. I'm a believer that all of these things balance out come the end of the season, and I would certainly prefer that than having VAR, which is an absolute stain on football. 2-2 at half-time. And then Norwich just kind of found a way through in the second half. It was fairly, non-dramatic. There were chances for Borja Science. There was a chance for Ronald Hernandez. And I think that was actually the difference in terms of just finding a way to get a point. We had a degree of quality off the bench and at least something to kind of fill some gaps or change the transition of play. Liam Gibbs came on, Ronald Hernandez came on, Oscar Schwartau came on, Cade Gordon came on, particularly Gibbs and Hernandez, who have been out for a little while. Gibbs just kind of did a good job in just mopping things up in the middle of the park, and I think is a better player than Jakob Sorensen. And Ronald Hernandez added a different dynamic. He stretched the defence. He was able to provide an outlet for when we were slightly under the cosh for them to just knock a hopeful ball forwards, and Ronald Hernandez would probably get there due to his pace. So, albeit not the best of quality in the Championship, just having bodies back in Liam Gibbs and Ronald Hernandez gives you a different dynamic, gives you a get out of jail free card when you're up against it. And I thought that was hugely beneficial to have those guys off the bench. You add in a McLean, you add in a Nunez, you add in potentially an Ashley Barnes for next weekend. Suddenly you've got another 3 really good players in the mix, and the dynamic shifts again. I was really proud of this performance, and I thought it shows that we are heading in the right direction. And when we have players in this squad that are, that were part of the plan and the Johannes Hoftorp wants to play, we will get results. It's a big week coming up for Norwich now. 2 very winnable home games. It's Plymouth on Tuesday night. It's then Luton on Saturday. And then actually 2 winnable away games in the shape of QPR and Pompey. So Norwich will now be identifying the next 4 as games to win. And hopefully, come the 11th of December, having just played Portsmouth, we will be right in the top 6 mix. Now, I've watched, West Brom, I've watched Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, Sunderland even, and I look at all of these teams and go, if Norwich are at their best, if Norwich can add a couple in January, if Norwich can get a couple of players back and keep them fit, we are definitely on a level with those types of teams. We're currently 13th. We're very much in the mix. I mean, we're pretty much the same amount of points off the top 6 as we are the relegation zone at this stage. Actually, closest to the relegation zone in the top 6. But don't let the facts get in the way of a good narrative. I think Norwich are more than capable of putting up a top 6 charge this season. But the reason why I enjoyed yesterday's game so much is because it feels like we are heading in a direction. It feels like we have a plan. There is a complete buy-in from these Norwich City fans, and that goes such a long way. It goes such a long way. The players know that. Johannes Hoftorp knows that. Glenn Riddlesholm knows that. Ben Napper knows that. If they have buy-in from the fans, which they do, good things can happen. It was an enjoyable day at the Hawthorns, and ultimately, as football fans, we want our team to win. We want our team to be competing at the absolute top level. but it's about the journey, it's about the fun, and that's cliche, but that's what gets you through as a football fan. And actually this season, even the defeats away from home on a Tuesday night, I have enjoyed, because I have a belief that there are good people at this football club making good, informed decisions that are ultimately taking this football club in the right direction. It's a big week for Norwich. Look, you can put all of my cliches aside. We just need to win some football matches now, and there's a great opportunity to do that this week coming up. Having Kenny McLean back will be massive. I still think that the midfield is an area which we've really struggled. I think, Forson Amankwa, there is obviously a player in there, but he's young, he is very inexperienced in this division, and that sometimes shows. I still don't think Jakob Sorensen's up to championship quality. If you can add a McLean and a Nunez in there alongside an Anis Ben Slimani, then suddenly everything looks very different. And I guess the other one, just before I depart and leave you be to kind of tuck into your roast lamb or whatever you're having on Sunday, there will be discussions around Ante Cianats. This is a 20-year-old striker who we've paid significantly, a decent sum of money for, and there will be eyeballs on him. He's scored just one goal this season and has looked slightly, I think, out of depth, probably not the right word, but it's rabbit in headlights at occasions. I think we've got to give this lad time. He was brought in, not as a development player, because we paid big money for him, and there would have been an expectation that, if dropped in, he would do a job. But to be without your main striker and to have to rely on a 20-year-old in Ante Cianats, there are big pressure on his shoulders, and it's now how we build a system to get the best out of him. Actually, I thought when Cianats did get the ball against West Brom, he was quite deep, and that maybe helped the likes of Marcondes and Borja Sainz to get forwards. But I think there's a player in Ante. Let's give him time. It has to work, because from now until January we don't really have another option, and I can't imagine that Ashley Barnes will be starting championship games anytime soon. I think he's going to be a bit like Sargent. Once you get a couple of goals, once he beefs up a bit, once he gets a bit more championship game time under his belt, he starts to flourish. There were a couple of opportunities for him yesterday. I think one he completely swiped at and missed, where you can just tell he's so desperate. He's so desperate to score, and actually he's just overthinking. Those types of instinctual finishes don't need to be thought about. Cianats clearly has the quality to finish them. He's just in a sticky situation at the moment. And I wanted to say that because I like the look of Ante Cianats, and I think, not that I have seen particular criticism for him, but I think, patience is a virtue with this one. And let's see how it goes. Look, big week at Carrow Road, buzzing for it. Love this time of the year. Dark evenings, lots of football. This is what it's all about. This is why we support Norwich City from periods like this. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.